Hi, my name is Greg Rostami, and this is Animation Master. Animation Master is a complete 3D spline patch-based modeler, animator, and renderer that runs on the IBM PCs and compatibles, runs on the Macintosh, the Power Macintosh, the Power PC, and also on the SGI workstations. We're going to start out by doing a demonstration of the sculpture module in Animation Master. I'll knew out what I was doing here before. We'll make a simple vase. First, by adding in a cross-section of the vase. Notice that the interface is very free-form and it gives the user a touchy-feely environment that you can easily move the control points around the spline curves. After I'm satisfied with the cross-section, I can lay it around to get the vase shape. Let's ask the computer to give a little quick preview. Now notice that while the quick preview is going on the left side, on the right-hand side, the user can still continue doing their work. So I can make minor modifications here without being slowed down by the left side of the screen. If you make a mistake, of course, there's always the undo. You can jump back to where you were before. One of the advantages of spline patches is that you can use the sides of the objects like magic plastic or an elastic. Of course, the undo always comes in handy after those mistakes. You can also work with several points at the same time. So we'll start out from the bottom of the shape, selecting the bottom contour, and we'll extrude the bottom down a bit, change the size, and we'll extrude down some more. So now we've added a little base to the bottom of the shape. Going back up to the top, selecting it, I'll put the pivot point around the top, and we'll kind of tilt it over to one side. So now we have a more organic shape than the one that we started out with. And again, I'll ask for the preview and continue doing the work on my other views. Now, this is an example of building somewhat of a mechanical shape. I want to show you some of the character animation or the character modeling tools that we've incorporated into Animation Master. So let's load in a character that I've built from before. This is a head segment of a little boy that also includes the cap. And I'm going to demonstrate how this kind of complex spline patch modeling can be done in Animation Master. Okay, now you'll notice that the boy has a lot of wireframes that are confusing the face and some of the other features. In this example, I'm going to show you how you can model in a more simple environment by using a hide function. So if I group the right side of the face and I decide to hide the rest of the model, I can now just work with the front side of the face and I don't have to worry about the hat or the back of the head. Let's see how this kind of modeling can take place. Let's bring in a template or a picture or just a drawing for the background. Here's from the front view. Okay, here's a drawing of the character from a front view. And I also need to bring in the drawing from a right view. So let's select that. So I've already made these drawings before the demonstration, and we're going to use those drawings as a background to draw on the top of it or trace over the drawing. So now in the environment, we've got two different points of view. We have one view of the model that's from the side, and we have another view of the model that is from the front that I'm going to place in the left view. And to model on the top of it is as easy as zooming in close to a part that I want to work on. In this case, I want to trace around the contours from the side of the face. And we'll just continuously start adding in some of the spline points. And of course, we can do the same thing here from the front view, finishing off the contours from the front side. So now we've built two different contours. One of them is from the front, okay, and the other from the side. And the resulting wireframe seems to be a little ambiguous, even though we can see how the front view looks and how the side view looks. We need to now be able to kind of glue the spline curves together using extra spline patches. So from a top-down view, I'll zoom a little further away and start adding in some spline curves that we'll use as the cross-sectional cuts that are going to go down across the face of our character. Okay. Once some of these cross-sections have been built, okay, I can move the cross-sections over here. Just select the spline, move it over to the other spline, and using our spline gluing capabilities, and glue the patches together to start building some of the surfaces that are necessary for the head of our character. Okay. As you can see, you can, after a little bit of work by building more and more cross sections, you can finish building the face of our character. And in this case, I'm going to again isolate the face and hide everything else in the background so we don't have to be bothered by the back of the head. And you'll notice that there's a few spline curves here in the corner that we still need to connect. So I'll clear out the template, zoom in a little closer to the corner there. And just by using the spline gluing capabilities, again, we just move the points over and glue the spline curves down. And move the points over again, glue. And finally the last point to finish off the face. And after we finish that corner, I can now unhide the rest of the model and ask the computer to give us a little quick preview of it. The preview comes in really handy for being able to see the surfaces as they're developing and determine if your contours are proper. Just testing the shape. So this is a little bit of the sculpture environment of Animation Master. I want to show you some of the decaling capabilities we have in the program. The decaler is like a magic sticker putter on her. It allows the artist to place different stickers or decals anywhere they want on their model interactively. I'm going to bring in the model that we were just using before, the head of the character that I just finished building. If we look at the model from the front and ask it to give us the quick preview again, you'll notice that from right off the bat, there are no stickers or there's no coloration on the model. Okay, beforehand, I've painted up a decal that we want to place onto the character. So we'll load that up as well. All right, once we have the decal in the memory, this is what the image looks like of the decal. Okay, in this case, it's a little bit bluish. And you can see that in the painting, I've accounted for some of the teeth and the eye socket areas. So once we have the decal in, okay, this is what I've painted from before, that I used the model as reference, and we painted in the eyes and the mouth of the model and some of the different features like the wrinkles around the eyes. I'm going to change the size of this just a little bit so that it can fit the size of the model that I have in the background. Okay, we need to make it just a little bit bigger because that's a little bit too small there now. So once we have it in the size that we like, I can simply move it over to the model and decal it down by just hitting the right mouse button. So right about here, it should be lining up. Okay, there we go. So once the decal has been stuck onto the model, the rest of it is I can tilt the model over to the side a bit, and we'll ask for a preview rendering to see how that color has been applied to the model. There we go. So now all the colors that I had designed for the inside of the eyes or the colors that I had drawn for around the wrinkles, all those have gone in their appropriate places, and all I had to do was just bring it in, find where I wanted to place it down, and stick it down on the model. And this process can go on continuously. Each image map can represent more than just color. The image maps can be things like transparency mapping or bump mapping or diffuse or specular mapping. We can also do things like mirror maps, ambiency map, and cookie cuts. So all the different coordinates or variables that can be mapped in 3D can be used in a decaler.